Hello, everybody. Welcome. We organize these webinars every Wednesday, actually, but this time we made it an exception and we are doing it on a Thursday because we have a very special guest today here. And these webinars are organized by Pune River Revival. It's also called as PRR. We are a group of many organizations, individuals, experts, and we all work for rivers and trees and environment, riparian forests. So today we have Gurudas Nulkar with us. Many of us are his students. So Gurudas is actually, and I think this might be his fourth session in this webinar. So many of you already know Gurudas, but just in case if there are any new members, I'll let you know in brief that he heads the Center for Sustainable Development in Gokhale Institute. He has a PhD in sustainability and environmental management. He is the recipient of Devang Mehta Award for Best Professor of Management. I think he also is a visiting professor in IIT Kanpur, and he has written a number of books. Like some of the famous books are Anartha Shastra, and I think Anartha Shastra also got an award for economic literature. And there are many other books he has written in English as well as in Marathi, शेतापासून ताटापर्यंत आणि fauna of symbiosis, International University, and there are many papers. So I'm not going to take much of your time going through all of that. So over to you, Gurudas.
थँक्यू PRR म्हणावं का नाही विचार करतोय, कारण खूपच मोठ्या कामात टाकलं मला शैलजा आणि प्राजक्तानी.
नाही ते घरच्या लोकांना थँक्यू नसतं म्हणायचं, त्याच्यामुळे
नाही
नाही.
त्याच्याबद्दल नाही, हा खरंच थँक्यूचं सारखं काम नाहीये हे, कारण तुम्ही मला प्रचंड कामात टाकलं. म्हणजे सो आय हॅड टू रिअली रॅक माय ब्रेन्स इन टू थिंकिंग अबाउट what should I speak to an audience which is already working so much on rivers and doing so much and such a lot about Pune's river. So त्याच्यामुळे I spent about a couple of hours thinking about what we should be talking about and what kind of questions will we have. तर याच्यामध्ये म्हणून मी म्हटलं की reimagining rivers आणि critiquing PRR is what I thought to be an appropriate title for this. So I'm going to take you through only four things. One is, and if some of you can keep your videos on, that will be good. Otherwise, I'm just staring at myself and the people. Yeah, thanks, Sanjeev. Sanjeev, you're looking like you're on another planet.
Yeah, I just moved to another planet. Enough of this.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about four things. One is Pune's rivers in crisis and decoding rejuvenation. So rejuvenation is the terminology which our dear urban local body uses. So I'm just trying to decode that. And then we will talk about, so what's the PRR about? All, is it a big deal or it's not a big deal and what? And then the movement from protest to alternatives. And finally a hindsight. Hindsight is just one side about, and I'm going to ask questions for all of us to think about, right? So Pune's river in crisis is something which I thought. So I have given myself these titles and I thought, let me think more about what can be thought about that, right? And therefore I started recoding what PMC or the wizened planners who are sitting at the top in New Delhi and Mumbai are thinking about decoding. And this is what what was the gist of my thought process. So at the heart of this entire thing is public expenditure. Right? It's about expenditure. It's about public money being spent on infrastructure projects. And that is something which is very dear to politicians as well as bureaucrats. It's also at the foundation of development. Don't get me wrong. Public expenditure is not wrong. It is the way towards equity, towards social justice, towards development, towards helping people get their daily bread, their opportunities for livelihood, everything. You need to build roads, you need to build bridges, railways, what have you, all of that, right? So it's not about public expenditure, but as a point, I wanted this to come at the start, that public expenditure is at the heart of the projects. Okay, the problem starts here from these questions onwards. Who wants to spend this money? Is it the people of Pune who have asked for it? Think about it. If Pune was a very small village, let's say of about 2, 3, 400 households, then we would have been able to influence our Gram Panchayat to create some infrastructure. We would have asked our Gram Panchayat to create some infrastructure which is important for the citizens of our village. We are unable to do so in such a large city like Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. Leave alone these big cities. Even a city like Satara and Korad, I don't think the citizens will be able to influence this. Therefore, the question of who wants to spend is best answered by the people who are in the planning, who have the planning pens in their hands, right? So they are the ones who are devising this expenditure, and they're the ones who would like to spend. The next question is spending on what? And the entire rejuvenation, again, I'm decoding the word rejuvenation. The entire rejuvenation is about built infrastructure. There's not a penny which is going to be spent on ecosystem revival, on aquatic ecosystem restoration, or about food chain, or about any other part of ecosystem management, right? So it's about built in. We know that it's going to be spent on, most of the money is going to be spent on designers, yeah, and they already spent a lot of money on the architects. Then a lot of money is going to be spent on cement, on geotextiles. Thousands of kilometers of geotextiles are being rolled out on the banks. There's money which is going to be spent on reinforced steel. There's money which is going to be spent on buying plants, small saplings. There's money going to be spent on excavation, on dredging, on creating footings, and all of that. So we know exactly where this money is going to be spent. The next question is build where? Now, obviously, the river is constrained by its natural boundaries. And therefore, if you have to build anywhere on the river, you have to replace natural assets, right? So what are natural assets? Riparian banks are natural assets. Soil is natural assets. The river's depth, the river's width, the river's slopes, the river's banks, all of these are natural assets. And what are we doing here? Are we improving the natural assets? Absolutely not. It's about replacing the natural assets. And that is something which we must keep in mind all the time, that this built infrastructure is going to replace natural assets, which are part of a functioning ecosystem. And when natural assets are removed from that ecosystem is not going to function. It's not going to function in the way that it is meant to function. So replace it with what? Replace it with artificial material and engineered landscapes. Right? In nature, there are no engineered landscapes. Right? They are natural landscapes, and natural landscapes are never permanent. On the other hand, engineered landscapes are always permanent, at least for a couple of decades. They are permanent, right? And they cannot change. So the interaction between the aquatic ecosystem and the terrestrial ecosystem, it takes place in the banks, and that is the ecotone. If we engineer the landscape there, then we are going to create a significantly severe problem in the functioning of the ecosystem. Again, most of you know what I'm already talking about. I'm just putting together things which came up in my head when I asked myself the question about how can I decode vegetation. Right. And the next question is, for what purpose? I don't even have to speak it out. We know for what purpose. This is very clear. And for who? We know who this is going to help. It's not going to help the aquatic organisms. It's not going to help the people of Pune. It's not going to improve the quality of water, and therefore it's not going to help Solapur. It's not going to help the engineers in the urban local bodies, because they will have an additional job of maintaining this white elephant in the coming years. So it's not really going to help anybody except one particular category who are going to benefit from the public expenditure. And have we done return on investment calculations on this public infrastructure? Yes, of course we have done. And is there going to be an RO? Of course, there's going to be additional revenue. The additional land rents are going to be coming up. Additional FSI, which is coming up, is going to increase fill up the coffers of PMCs. But, who cares? The bottom line is basically, who cares? And lastly, what is the life of the built infrastructure? This is a question which nobody has thought about in PMC, nor the architect who is developing this. The life of this infrastructure is probably a few decades, but in this few decades, it has to be managed by the PMC. It's not going to be managed by the rivers. Till today, the mullah and mutha were managing themselves their own banks, their own riparian zones, their own organism, their own food chain. Not a single engineer from PMC was doing anything to manage these rivers. Now, this is going to be taken over by PMC, and it's going to be managed by them. So the next obvious question is, does PMC have the wherewithal to maintain another piece of infrastructure? Can they maintain PMT bus stops? Can they maintain Pune's water supply? Can they maintain Pune's sewage system? Can they maintain Pune's solid waste management? And if the answer to this is no, then why should the answer to the 10th question be yes? And this is open for interjection. If anybody wants to say something, please do. If you want to add anything, if I've forgotten something, do that. Okay, so then I asked myself, what are the advantages of this? And then I got a list of advantages, really great. Capital mobilization. There are thousands of crores going to come from central government. There are thousands of crores which are going to come from state government. There are hundreds of crores which Pune PMC is going to put in. So there is going to be huge capital mobilization, which is going to be spent in the Pune region. Okay, huge advantage for an economist. All this money is coming from all across India, from Delhi, from Mumbai, from somewhere else, and it's going to be spent in Pune. It's going to improve the GDP of Pune city. Second, there's obviously going to be buoyancy in the construction sector. So there'll be more material which is required. There'll be construction. There'll be people who are coming in. There'll be new businesses set up. Of course, we know all of that. And more jobs. Huge advantages. See? More space for more businesses. So there'll be small businessmen, these chai walas, tapuri walas who get more space. There'll be more businessmen, more people can come into Pune and set up their businesses. They can earn livelihoods, everything. And of course, more revenue for the PMC. And finally, there's going to be lifelong maintenance, which translates into more income. Don't ask me for whom, but there's more income, obviously. Right. More tenders, yes. So in short, if I were in PMC, I would have gone for this project. Yeah, we have to do this project. This is for the good of Pune. This is for the good of the jobs. This is for the good of the construction sector. This is for the good of micro entrepreneurs, for everybody. Now let's look at the disadvantages and what are the arguments against them, right? There are disadvantages which everybody knows, which PMC also knows, but there are well carved out arguments against these as disadvantages. The first one, loss of trees. What is the argument against it? Far more trees are going to be planted. If we are going to kill 60,000, 64,000 trees, we are going to plant 600,000 trees. Very simple argument. You can't win against this argument. If Prajakta comes and says, don't kill 600 trees, I'll tell her I'm going to plant 60,000, and then she'll have to walk away. There's nothing else she can do. The second argument, loss of soil. And there's just one argument against all of this. This is a 2,000 kilometers rivers. We are talking about 22 kilometers. Go back to your house. Okay? The next, loss of habitat. 2,000-kilometer rivers, we are talking about 22 kilometers. Go jump. Dredging. Centuries there has been silt which is coming in from all across into this river. It has to be dredged. Constriction of the channel. We are constricting the channel. We'll deepen it. Don't worry. We will not reduce the flow. We will deepen it. The natural feel of the river is going to go. Centuries of human use. Where was the natural feel at all to Mula Mutta? You stand under the Lakdi pool and on top of you there is a huge bridge with thousands of vehicles. It's not at all a natural feel. So don't tell us that we are doing away with the natural feel. And finally, pollution. And this is, they're saying, that's not our job. You look at the sewage treatment department. The sewage department that's their job. We are about river rejuvenation. So if we have to decode.
Actually, they say that for sewage treatment,
Yeah.
those pipes, the interceptors are going to be under the
Yeah.
embankment.
Yeah.
So it is actually good for sewage treatment. That is their argument.
Yeah. So those interceptors are a brilliant piece of engineering by the brilliant architect. So which has been used for thousands of years, right from Harappan civilization. There have been interception canals. So it's nothing new in that. And finally, if you talk to them about flooding, act of God. Okay. If God is doing something, only God can save you, not PMC. So you don't come with your arguments of disadvantages. We have our opposition. And finally, when you bring up the topic of climate change, can you answer two questions? How much is climate going to change and when is it going to change? If Shailaja cannot answer these two questions, she has no place to sit in my office. Which means that this rejuvenation is really a brilliant proposal for everybody, for except citizens. But then that's okay. It's not about citizens anyway. And thus, every skeptic in the city is responded to with compelling arguments that they have. And okay, I have just written down a few arguments that they put, but they come with numbers, so that's okay. Okay, so now we'll try to decode what PRR is all about, right? And then again, I looked up all that we have done in the past, looked up the website, looked up all the actions and activities that we have been doing, and I came up with three things. One is the principles of PRR. Second is the action pillars of PRR. And finally, the tools that we use for that. So the principles of PRR is simple. The first principle is ecology over economy when it comes to a natural ecosystem. When it comes to road, when it comes to Lakshmi Road, when it comes to metro, it's about the economy and there is no ecology there. So you carry on with that, our livelihoods and everything. But when there is a natural asset flowing in the city, it's a river, it's a takri, ecology has to take precedence over the economy. That's the non-negotiating principle of PRR. Second, apolitical and always. We will have politicians come and rub shoulders with us. But that does not mean we subscribe to the vision and mission of the political party. They can come in as individuals and they can come in as equal stakeholders of the river as Punekars, and they are welcome. Anyone and everyone is welcome there. And third principle is it is citizen powered. I think these three have not changed over the last few years, nor have they changed since the time of Jivit Nadi or Ecological Society or, the first principles. The second, action pillars. One, assessing river ecology. This has been something which Jivit Nadi Ecological Society have been doing for a very long time. Documenting river ecology, organisms, live, floating vegetation, rooted vegetation, riparian vegetation, all of that has been is being documented. Second action pillar is building human nature relationship, right from the river walks times to storytelling on the river, activities on the river, pralay on the river. All of that is about building human nature relationship. And third, is to provide nature-based alternatives to everybody, not just to PMC, but also to citizen. It's also to you, individuals and households, also to housing societies, and also to people who want to work on the river. So it's giving actual actionables in the hands of people. So what tools have we used? First is very compelling media storytelling and walks. Walks have been the starting point of PRR, Jeevit Nadi. Media and storytelling has improved over these years, and they have been strengthened because of evidence-based storytelling, right? We are not cooking stories from Jack and Jill stories, but they are all evidence-based stories. The second is building coalitions. Look at all the organizations which are part of PRR today. There is no single one dominant organization which is there. There is no United Nations here. Yeah, it's all about equally participating in this. The third tool is mobilizing citizens. It's not about becoming a Koita gang. It's not about having mashals in your hand, but it's about empowering citizens to take up their fundamental right. Okay. And finally, the tool used in activism is to show evidence. It's not about emotions. We are not saying paid bachao, machli bachao for the sake of paid and machli. But we are saying paid bachao, machli bachao for the sake of something which is very important to everybody. Therefore, PRR is an ecosystem of concerned citizens. That's my simple definition of PRR. If we were to summarize what it is, right? And concerned about what? What should the citizen be concerned about? Concerned about nature? Concerned about environment? Are we environmentalists? I don't think so at all. We are concerned about our own future, and we are concerned about our quality of life. These are the two fundamental things which brings anybody or any organization to PRR. It's not about public expenditure. It's not about PMC not being able to manage the infrastructure. It's not about all of that. Those are all incidentals which will be solved if something else is given. But fundamentally, we have to be concerned about our own future and our quality of life. So what is our hope? That is the next question which I asked myself. And the answer lies in this fundamental right to life of the Constitution, which thankfully the Supreme Court has interpreted very liberally on many occasions. Okay, so therefore, it is Supreme Court says that right to life is not about existence, but about living with dignity. Supreme Court says that it's not about human right to life, but it's about the right to every organism's life. It's about that microbe in the water. It's about that giant tree. It's about the river. It's about the mountain. It's about the life with dignity. Thus, it automatically boils down, and this is again what Supreme Court has said: the right to a clean environment, right to health, right to livelihood, right to dignity, right to intergenerational justice, and interspecies equity. Two fundamental things. It is not just about me and my grandchildren having the same justice, but it's about also me and that sparrow having equal justice. Right? So interspecies equity is a fundamental understanding between the coalition of PRR. And therefore, a dead river is a constitutional failure according to the right to life. And this is what we must keep all of us in our head. This is something which empowers us to fight something which is going wrong for the river. So the next question I ask myself is PRR about activism? Okay. And let's look at it. Then I just made a list of what all PRR has been doing. So first, PRR is trying to build citizen relationship with nature. Second, the PRR is building citizen watch on what? On all the natural assets. Third, the PRR is trying to get citizen science into this whole business. by doing experiments, by doing documentation, by doing identification. All of this is nothing but citizen science. Fourth, it is doing citizen documentation. There are various groups across Pune who are involved in documenting whatever they see around the river. It could be where sewage is flowing, where waste is dumped, which species they have seen, which new bird they have seen. All these are being documented. The next activity of PRR is commissioning research. We have commissioned Agarkar Research Institute to conduct some research. We have commissioned Biologica and some other organizations to conduct research. All of this is happening at PRR. And here comes the most important step. It's about strengthening PMC's hand. On numerous occasions, Jeevit Nadi, PRR, Ecological Society, and many other organizations have blown the whistle when there has been dumping on the Rambola confluence. When dumpers have come with construction and demolition waste, the numerous occasions we have forewarned PMC officials that something wrong is going to happen. And on numerous occasions, PMC has come running to help us. PMC has actually heeded to many of our demands of protection, of many of our watchdog events that we have gone through. And let's take it very positively. Whenever PMC has helped, we always back them. So I think if you look at what PRR is, it's about citizen relations, citizen watch, citizen science, citizen documentation, commissioning research, strengthening PMC hands, and now coming to the last one. When everything else fails, it's activism. Right? So activism is an unwanted thing. If there is no activism, everyone is happy at PRR, which means things are going well. But it is the last thing, but it is an important tool. If nothing else is working, then we have to resort to activism. Therefore, PRR is not about activism at all. I think that is one thing which we must remove from our head. PRR is the voice of the river. And why is it the voice of the river? To assert the right to live for that river and for ourselves. I think two fundamentally important things what we must look at. So how did PRR go from protests to alternatives? Over time, we are quite sure about what rivers do not need. And if you look at the list of things that the rivers do not need, especially in Pune, rivers don't need concrete and bank. Rivers have never asked for concrete. Rivers don't need barrages and channelization. They have never asked for it. Rivers don't need floodplain reclamation. They do it themselves throughout the season. Rivers don't need aesthetic beautification. They are extremely capable of beautifying themselves. And rivers don't need a top-down infrastructure. Okay. So what do rivers want? Rivers want to be free-flowing. Rivers want natural floodplains and wetlands. Rivers want natural riparian vegetation. Rivers want a decentralized sewage treatment, and rivers want ecological buffers. Good. And what rivers want, PRR wants. Okay. Now, so what is PRR saying? What is we are being proxy for the river, right? So what is PRR saying? We want rivers not to be managed by city administration. We want rivers to be managed by nature. It's a simple ask. For millions of years, rivers have been managed by nature, not by urban local bodies. Okay. We don't want engineering models. We want ecological models. And because nature can manage it, natural means managed by nature. Unnatural means managed by man. As simple as that. Thus, for this, when moving from protest to alternatives, what are the 5 things PRR did? First, is PRR proposed 3 alternative plans. Each one was an ecosystem-based approach. Now, an ecosystem-based approach is a little different from nature-based approaches, where nature-based systems essentially say, how can nature work for human beings? Here, we are saying, how can human beings preserve ecosystems? That is the philosophical difference between nature-based solution and ecosystem. Second, demonstrate restoration at pilot level. This is something which has been done at Vittalwadi, which has been done at the RMC and another place, which I forget. So at least 3 places we have tried to demonstrate at a very small pilot level about restoration. Third, the endeavor to create open data platforms, especially for ecological data, which anybody and everybody can use, including the PMC, including the state government and the central government. Whoever wants to use that ecological data are free to use, because that data exists in nature. We are only compiling that data and putting it into one place. So we have no intellectual property over that data. And this is the fourth thing is what PRR has done is engage in river edge and river dependent communities. Right. Two communities whose voice is not heard in PMC. They are marginal communities. They are the ones who have been traditionally dependent upon, let's say, Pashan Lake or Ramula Confluence or some other place. But today, because of changing land use and changing urbanization and sprawls, they have been displaced and they have gone out of that. So engaging with them and listening to their voice is very important. And the fifth most important thing which PRR did is to tackle waste and sewage head on. Not with PMC power, but with citizens' power. So this is what PRR has been doing there. Thus, look at the PRR alternatives to the PMC role. And I broke up the PRR alternatives into three simple buckets: budget, approach, and result. Budget, 5,000 crores. PRR alternatives, we don't even have a figure there, because we are not masters of budgeting. It's a very small number compared to 5,000 crores. It's a fraction of that. Second, the approach. The approach of PRR RFD is beautification, built infrastructure, rigid channels, and plantation. I may have forgotten a couple of things, but excuse me for that. You all know what that are. PRR alternative, the ecosystem-based approach, restoration, not redesign. While architects redesign the river, restorers do not redesign the river. They allow nature to redesign whatever they want. Protecting ecological corridors, protecting ecological niches, protecting ecological habitats, and then finally species. We don't start with species. We don't say that this species has to be there on the river. No. If that river is habitable for that species, it will come. So how do we make it habitable? By conserving ecological corridors, niches, habitats, and then finally species are going to show up. Okay. Finally, looking at PRR, how can cities stop harming rivers instead of how can rivers be beautified, and building for climate resilience? Something which is forgotten. And the result of the PMC RFD plan would be a damaged ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem. Natural processes will be throttled because we are not going to have the ecotone, we are not going to have the riparian zone at all. So the terrestrial ecosystem and the aquatic ecosystem are going to be separated by a construction bed, a concrete and geotextiles. So their natural processes are going to be throttled, and therefore ecological productivity is going to be lost. The PRR alternatives is essentially looking at a healthy ecosystem, free-flowing river for all, and most importantly, downstream justice for the people of Solapur, not just Solapur, anybody who is living downstream of Kaudepat, which is probably the final exit of Pune city. Yeah, so that's a lot of talk already. Hindsight, I think we have time to discuss a couple of questions. What could we have done better? Of course, there are many things which could come up in your mind. This we could have done better. This we could have, we need to document that. Did we make any mistake? Of course, we are all human beings, right? I mean, everyone makes mistakes. But more importantly, did we create equal opportunity for everybody to pitch in? That's something which we have to very critically ask ourselves. From questions 3 to 7 are very important for introspection, right? So did we create equal opportunity? Can anybody join PRR, or can anybody leave PRR equally? Well, there. Are we transparent? And this answer shouldn't come from us, but it has to come from those who are involved with PRR. Are we democratic? Do we listen to people? Do we listen to everybody, or do we just listen to the 4 or 5 of us? That's something which we need to ask. Are we open to new ideas? Have we demonstrated that we are open to new ideas? Have we shown that somebody has walked in with a new idea and we have taken it up, or we have tried to take it up, or whatever? And finally, the last two questions, 8 and 9, are about how can we be more effective in what we are doing, and how can we reach out to more people? Right? Yeah, that's my last slide. So I'm leaving this slide and let's just discuss. whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Gurudas. I don't know. Yeah. So thanks. I think totally it's a new thing which I think you opened up, and it's very good. And hopefully we'll have a good question answer session. I think these questions are very good for pondering today and for the next few days or months. So yes, it's open to the audience now. Anybody can mute and ask questions. They can type in the chat. They can start their videos, and yes, let's be transparent.
Sanjeev, I guess there were a few questions in the chat box. Can you check
Oh,
that?
oh,
I just lost my electricity here.
Okay.
okay. Can we
Some Bhagyashree Tilak says added taxes to people, increased heat due to concrete. What are plantations going to be done? Proof of that. Where are plantations going to be done? Where's the proof of that? Best not answered. So yeah.
No, which question are
One
you
answer.
reading?
There is a question. Other questions were I mean general things. So the first question from Bhagyashree Tilak was, she mentioned that this adding taxes to people, increased heat is happening due to concrete. And then she asked a question that where are the plantations going to be
Actually,
done?
those were her comments when Gurudas was
Oh, I see.
presenting.
Hmm.
Like you were saying, like what else can happen? So she was answering there that
Yeah. Got it.
there would be
What else?
added tax.
Added
So
taxes to people. Yes.
one of the questions was where are plantations going to be done and what's the proof of that?
What is the proof of? So I think PRR has got the list of where plantations are going to be done, and they have seen a lack of proof. It's quite evident. All of this is.
Some of the plantations you actually can go and see on the RFT which has been done at Bund Garden, and I was there today. So it's in some places it's okay, but other places it's quite bad. So yeah, it's quite bad. Ravindra says, given the adamant attitude of the administration, are we breaking our heads against a wall?
That only time will tell.
Ravindra, we are trying to make ourselves also a big wall, and make sure that PMC's heads also get broken in the club. So we are also building a wall of our own.
To answer Ravindra's question, for the simple reason, since last 4 months, all the work has been stopped, has actually proved that we have created a very good pressure on the local governing bodies, PMC and PCMC. They have not been able to start the work. And this has happened since the work started at Burn Garden, where it was unstoppable. But when they started at Pune River, a lot of pressure through objections on the tree failing, objections on the eco-sensitive areas, and a lot of things which created pressure. And since February 11, the work is not progressed at all. So there could be small wins, Ravindra, plus forest officer has already created a report to announce Rammula as a sacred grove, which will be a community reserve forest. So the report already has been submitted, and there is going to be no RFD into that area, but we are not happy with that. We want to have all the eco-sensitive areas saved, protected, and conserved. And that is the way forward, where I don't think we are banging against dead wall. There is a sufficient pressure which we are putting through our science-based evidences, which Gurudas has emphasized very correctly. So this is the answer to his question, I believe.
Yeah.
Next question is Vijay has asked, are there instances of state government changing act or policy If not, then what acts does PRR like to change?
So, act or a policy, policies can be changed. Acts are rarely changed unless, there is significant uh, pressure either from citizens or Supreme Court or whatever. But policies have been changed so many times. Many policies have been changed multiple times, and policies are corrected. There are new GRs which are put up against a policy. These things keep happening. So that's not new. And it's not an act. There is no act which says riverfronts have to be done. It's just a policy.
Sri Sai says, love the perspective of interspecies equity when we think of development. Yes, very right, Sri Sai. I mean, it's very sad to see that a lot of birds which were there on, especially in Burn Garden and Koregaon Park, are now totally gone missing because the slopes are just filled with mud and stones and they are not able to sit. So today when I went, I was shocked to see that even red wattle lapwings cannot be seen. So even their habitat, which is like a quite common and widespread bird, that's also
Yeah.
gone missing. Yeah, all I could see was crows and pigeons. Even miners were very few. So that's the state of what is happening now. Ravindra again asks, is stopping of work enough? What about reversing the damage already done?
So stopping of work is the first step. You can't reverse the damage if you can't stop the work. So I think the first step has happened. Reversing the damage is something which probably we have to struggle for in the coming years, in the coming days. वो भी करेंगे.
Yeah. I mean, again, the areas where they have not yet put the concrete, there is a lot of scope for doing the plantation. Yeah. So that scope is there. Yes, Manisha, go ahead.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Thanks, Gurudas. As usual, a lot of insights from you. I just had one point. You started your, it's a very probably a rhetorical point, but I just wanted to kind of bring it up. You started your presentation with capital mobilization and job creation, right? So why is municipality doing, and looking at it beyond PMC and RFD, because these are waves which are coming more and more, right? So for any of these projects, whether it's in Pune or any other location, it is primarily capital mobilization, job creation, plus, a lot of other things that you had nicely put in the front. And then you concluded your presentation with essentially, from the ecological side of river for river, nature for nature. That's how you concluded. So basically, it's like, to put it very simply, two banks of a river. They are just running in parallel, right? So, and this is just a very open question. Do you think there is any blended way? Because at the end of the day, whether you are intentionally looking at it or not, you do look at only one side of things. And the other, whoever is in the other side, whichever municipality, is obviously looking at the other side of things. So do you, first of all, whether there's a middle ground, we know that's not possible, but do you think there is a blended solution that where we can do both to a certain extent? I'm being very careful in this forum.
I
but
know. No,
yeah.
but Manisha, think about it. For centuries, we have had a middle ground, right? There have been ghats in Banaras, there have been ghats in Pune, there have been ghats on Krishna, in Vai, everything. And ghats are nothing but riverfront development so that human beings can access the river better. Their cultural connection, their root. There are temples like the Omkareshwar temple, the Sagareshwar temple, which are within the river banks. Now, we are not opposing that. They've come up over a couple of 100 years and they are there with some roots to our culture and some of the things like that when we worshipped at a point of time when we actually did worship river. Okay. Today they are there. So we are not saying that large scale removal of anything which is there in the river or large scale removal of every brick and drop of cement in the river. No, that's not the idea. In fact, there has been criticism on Instagram about PRR's movement saying that PRR is now saying, ha, riverfront development hone do. This was something which we always talked about, and therefore my first slide was decoding rejuvenation, right? And that rejuvenation which I tried to decode for myself is not something which PRR wants. And there is a different kind of river rejuvenation which PRR wants, which in the next couple of slides I actually emphasized. So if those of I don't know if they are there on this forum or in this room right now, but those of you who have actually written statements on Instagram saying that ये अभी बदल रहे हैं, इनका ढोंग सामने आ रहा है and things like that, this presentation was exactly something which could address all the apprehensions that you have in your head, right? And if you still have any residual apprehensions, you're welcome to discuss it. But think twice before putting something on public social media, which could actually take us back many months back. Okay, so therefore, Manisha, yes, there has always been a middle way. People have built on the banks, they have built a ghat, they have built temples, they have built shrines, the Peshwe Samadhi is there. All of that is there. Now we are not going to change that. वो रहने दो. But wherever the river is in a natural state, let it remain in the natural state. And for God's sake, think about the quality of water, which is completely absent from this river rejuvenation project. Right? That is something which we have been saying all along. So middle ground ही है. There is nothing like a natural river today. There are the remnants of a natural river, and those remnants need to be very courageously conserved. That's it.
Thanks, Gurudas. Uday, yes. Uday, you want to ask something?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question and thanks for the very informative talk. So the Sabarmati River front development is touted as a success story by proponents of this kind of construction. So is there a study done on what the actual outcome was on that river and whether it really is the success it is made out to be, and can that study be used to push back against the plans in Pune?
So I'll answer this question in a very simple way, right? There are at least about 20 different stakeholders when it comes to a river, right? Let's say between the 20, for 3 or 4, the Sabarmati development project was a success. So be it. But for the majority of others, including the organisms in the water, including the people who live next to the Sabarmati River and face the heat in the evening, including those who have to walk barefoot on that stone bed and that concrete bed, and they feel the heat, for them, this is no big deal. Moreover, to show that this is successful, we have to bring water from Narmada. This is interbasin transfer which is being done from Narmada to Sabarmati all the time, just so that this thing looks very beautiful. So whether this is a success or not depends on what is your position in the stakeholder ring. If you are somebody who was involved in the planning and execution, of course it's a successful project for you. If you're somebody who's not involved in that, think about it if it really was a successful. If you're somebody who's living in a river like a fish, think about it if it's successful for you or not. So therefore, I think we have to be very careful when we are saying there could be elements in society for whom something is useful and successful.
It's not only that, Sabarmati word has become for some people a sacrosanct word. That means you're not supposed to say anything or question anything regarding the Sabarmati riverfront. So basically what we are also saying that the geography of Sabarmati, the place, and the geography of Pune, the riparian zone of Sabarmati and the rich riparian zone that we have in Pune is quite different. So I think it is a good idea not to mix these two, and we just have to focus on what we have here.
Okay, understood. Now, yeah, my question mainly was, can that data be used as additional justification to push back?
See, that is the problem. The
on this?
moment you say Sabarmati, some people just want to close their eyes and then the discussion totally stops. So it is better to focus on our rivers and discuss that. I mean, that is what we have learned from experiences. Your point
Understood.
is totally valid, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
So I think Jayashree has said that can we convert the last slide into a Google form? I think it will be a useful idea. Let's discuss if it should be done and if it should be done and how.
Shailesh has a question. Shailesh, you can unmute yourself.
हा मला
Yeah, so
प्रश्न
Lina's question,
विचारायचा
of course,
होता.
there are several models, and we have documented those models on PRR website also, where in developed countries they have removed the embankments and allowed natural river flows. In fact, they have restored the meanders of the rivers. Wherever they have straightened the rivers, they have removed the straightening and allowed the meandering to happen. So there are several examples, and Lina, you should be able to see those examples. I think they are there on the PRR website.
शैलेश विचारू
हा
शकतो प्रश्न. हा?
येस येस मी थोडस उशिरा जॉईन झालं पण मला असं विचारायचं होतं सर की असं काही म्हणजे आम्ही इथे सगळं हे ऐकतो थेरॉटिकली खूप भारी वाटतं हे आपण जेव्हा ऍक्च्युली कुठं पब्लिक डोमेन मध्ये मित्रांबरोबर वगैरे बोलायला जातो तिथं मात्र काय काय ठिकाणी जरा पिछाट होती विचारांची की तुम्हाला सगळ्याचाच प्रॉब्लेम असतो तुम्हाला काहीच नको असतं वगैरे वगैरे तर मग असं असं कॉर्पोरेशनने तुम्हाला विचारलं की ठीक आहे हा 10 किलोमीटर तुम्ही सांगा आणि तुम्ही मॉडेल द्या सगळं लेआउट तुम्ही सगळं द्या किंवा एक रूपरेषा मोठी तुम्ही द्या आणि तुमचं एक मॉडेल आपण तिथं राबवू त्याला पुणे रिव्हर फ्रंट मॉडेल देऊ वाटल्यास आपण तर
दिलंय ना मग आपण.
ओके
आपण 3 बनवलेत, एक नाही 3 बनवले.
ओके
अ,
ओके
3 बनवलेले पण आहेत आणि आपण ऍक्च्युली पीएमसी आणि पीसीएमसी बरोबर मीटिंग्स घेऊन तेच सांगतो आहोत की आम्ही तुम्हाला सोल्युशन सजेस्ट करतो, तुम्ही हे डिझाईन चेंजेस करा आणि ते आपल्याशी इन प्रिन्सिपल त्यांनी आपल्याला हो सुद्धा म्हणलेलं आहे. तर जे शैलजाताई सांगत होत्या मगाशी की फेब्रुवारी नंतर काम थांबलंय,
हो
ते
थांबवलं
त्याच्यामुळेच
होतं.
थांबलंय. ते त्याच्यामुळेच
ओके
थांबले कारण आपण त्यांना म्हणाले की आम्ही तुम्हाला सोल्युशन सांगतो, म्हणजे आपण नुसते विरोध करणारे लोक नाहीच आहोत. म्हणजे जसं मगाशी गुरुदासनी सांगितलं की हा ऍक्टिव्हिजम हा लास्ट हे आहे, लास्ट रिसॉर्ट आहे. आपण उठलो आणि हे बंद करा ते बंद करा असं आपण नाहीच आहोत. आपण म्हणतो की हे कसं निसर्गस्नेही करता येईल, ह्याच्यामध्ये कसं इकॉलॉजीचा विचार करता येईल, हे कसं सायंटिफिकली करता येईल, या डिस्कशनचंच फळ म्हणून आता सध्या ते थांबलेलं आहे. सो दॅट इज एक्झॅक्टली व्हॉट वी आर डुईंग.
And
ओके
Shailesh, on a very broader note, I think when you have to answer people, so we are not against PMC going and cleaning the river. We are not against PMC making safe and good roads. We are not against PMC giving us good water. Where is that happening? That is true development. You can tell all these people who have raised questions, that these basic things are not being given to us. Clean water supply and good roads, safe roads, and a whole lot of other things. We are not against any of those developments. No waste, no garbage on the roads, takedis, rivers. Good development. We are not against those.
Agree.
Yeah. Yash, Shushriya. Sorry. Go ahead, please. And ask
It's
your
not a question per se, but I think it's just an extension of the discussion that Manisha and even the other sir who mentioned about Sabarmati started. As a landscape architect, what you spoke about in the entire presentation, and more so about what your goals were or your ideas were for the riverfront rejuvenation, your definition of it is exactly what we are taught, is exactly given the chance to design. That is, I think, something that we would look into designing. So when you were saying the architects have done this and done that, I sort of like tried researching and seeing who are the architects and what are they doing. And I understand that Sabarmati and the Pune rivers cannot be compared, but if the designers are the same individuals, I think it's a valid point to see a field design. And I say it's failed because I'm a landscape architect. That's what we've learned and we've visited. I've been there in Ahmedabad for 2 years during my master's. But even being an architect, say my fellow colleagues who were not landscape architects or like part of my class also enjoyed the riverfront. And oh my God, what a design. We are getting a space to go and interact and we're cycling around and all of that is happening. So I think the way Manisha was talking about a blended method, like that is necessary. And even when you said like there are ghats existing, there are temples existing, but at one point they were still foreign entities for the river and the people there. I mean, over the period of all these years, there was some amount of acceptance that happened. to all these new things that were coming up. So do you think a contemporary way, a modern way, today's people require certain things, say walkways, not parking lots, of course, but like things like that, where interaction and recreation can still happen. At the same time, we're looking at restoration, looking at examples like the Bishan Park, perhaps. I mean, it's very different ecology, but like examples where there is human nature interaction happening, I don't know, to a acceptable level or like in a positive way. I was just trying to say that bringing up Sabarmati was valid in my point of view.
Yeah, thanks, Sushriya. And therefore, when one of you, I think Uday, asked the question of whether Sabarmati is successful, I responded saying that for some stakeholders, it would indeed be successful, right? So it's not I'm not taking a broad brush and saying it's not successful. One. Second is, since you're a landscape architect and who is somebody who has experienced Sabarmati, we would certainly like you to look at the alternatives that PRR has suggested and critically review what has been suggested. There are walkways in it. There are places for human river interaction. There are places where senior citizens can sit. There are places where a fish can breed. There are places where aquatic species can, thrive. All of these are there in that. So definitely, we would love that you look at it critically and then make some suggestions or review that.
Just a question.
Regarding the blended model, if you on PRR website, you can go to puneriverrevival.org. The alternative designs that Gurudas discussed about, we have given 3 models. So you can see that there is a provision of bird watching, there is a trail, and so all that. We are not saying that do not go near the river. The model does not say that there is no public access at all. So whatever you were saying, that people like to take a walk, they like to have some entertainment. So all that kind of thing is accommodated in that model. Even when we say it is eco-friendly and looking at ecology and looking at restoration, still those things can be done, and that thought has gone into that model, and that is exactly what we have been telling PMC and PCMC to make changes and make sure that we give that kind of public access where you have trails, where you have places to do bird watching or some botany study. You can do that. But you can still keep the ecology intact.
So, Shreya, just going one step ahead, there are today live examples where this is already happening. So we are doing many activities, especially involving, creative arts or bird watching, nature walks at Ramada conference. Every Saturday, Sunday, we are getting people to the river. Families are coming with children and they're enjoying. And we are holding, all types of activities. So it is happening even now, even with the current stage. And only 2 things which are stopping it from happening elsewhere is the river in its current state of polluted and a lot of garbage along the river banks. These are the only 2 things. If this can be removed, it's already there. All these things can be possible even today.
Got it. I think where I'm coming from is more of questioning my own fraternity as like architects or designers, like what are we doing, and the need for like multi professional interaction happening, or a collaborative effort, basically. I think
so
that's where it's at.
basically what happens is these people don't come to the river. That's the hard. I mean, not just that, most of the citizens, let them come once and see what is possible. So this cannot be done in PPT sitting in offices.
True.
Yeah. I think we have also gone past the timeline. So a very interactive and very, I can't say amazing session, more than that, mesmerizing session. So thanks everyone for joining in, asking very good questions, and we hope for all your support. Just come to the river more often and contribute whatever Gurudas mentioned today in all our activities. whether it's our entertainment activities or mapping, documenting, just come to the river. I think that would be the best
I'll
contribution.
I'll just like
Yeah.
to add one more thing, that all these webinars are uploaded on our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and look for Pune River Revival, and there is a playlist called as Wednesday webinar. So you can see all the webinars there. This will also be uploaded soon in the coming week. So whoever has, like anybody in your network who couldn't make it today and they missed this, please do tell them to catch up here and get to know what PRR stands for, what our vision is, and what is that we are working for. Because I don't think we could find anybody else better than Gurudas to explain this so well. And he's so articulate, and I think many of the people who have been working with PRR also, their concepts must have gotten better today or more clear today because of today's webinar. So of course I'm not going to thank him, but we'll keep on troubling him again. Thank you,
Okay,
everybody.
thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.